Hi there, and welcome to 2021. If you're viewing this right now, it is the start of 2021, the year after Corona hit the world. And now, as I'm watching this video of pro-Trump uh, allies, pro-Trump protesters storm the Capitol in the US. Suffice to say, 2021 is starting with a lot, and let's bring it closer to my home at least. Projectum is acquired by Broad Horizon, which is a big company, and you can read all about it in the official notes, of course. But there's a lot of news. So apart from this stuff happening in the US, I'm not a US citizen, so I don't know what is happening there right now. My thoughts go out to you, and I hope everything will turn up the right way, whichever way that is for you. So Projectum, the company I work for, is acquired by Broad Horizon. And apart from Projectum being acquired by another company, we have new updates coming in for Project for the Web. And this is going to be a different video another time. Today, we're actually going to look at another Power BI announcement. We now have the option to add small multiples in Power BI. So that is cool. This is, however, a preview feature, so you need to do some things to get this working. So before we dive in, make sure to subscribe and like this video if you thought it was helpful. So this is a very nice improvement in Power BI, which is currently in preview, as I mentioned. And what that means is that when you open up a Power BI report, you will need to go into Files and then go into Options and Settings and then Options. And once you're in Option Settings, there is this Preview Features tab. What you want to do is you want to locate small multiples, currently in the bottom half of these preview features, and click on that check mark. And once you've done that, you might need to restart Power BI. Once that's done, you will have the new option of small multiples. And at the point in time, small multiples are added as an option to several of the out-of-the-box visuals. As it becomes closer to general availability, or GA, as it normally is called, more of those visuals will have that small multiples in there. To have a look at what that looks like, here you have that small multiples. That way you know that that is a visual that actually has the small multiples option in there. So currently we have the bar chart, we have the what is it called, the stacked bar chart, we have the stacked column chart, we have the clustered bar chart, and then there is the line chart as well that has it, and maybe a couple of others will have been added as we speak. All right, so here's another one. The area chart also has it. So there's a number of out-of-the-box features that have the small multiples in there as well. What we're going to do is we're going to look into the small multiples and what it can do for you in a project management setting using the stacked column chart. That is this one. A bit about the data that I'm using. I'm actually tricking this. This is not related to Project Online, for instance. This is actually just a very simple Excel sheet that I created. So what it has two tables in there. It has the project table with a project name, a region, an owner, and an overall budget, as well as a project and a yearly cost situation going on here. So this data is then transferred or consumed within Power BI, and then you have this table generic, and then you have your yearly costs after a few tweaks in the data, obviously. So here you see that that stacked budget, the sum of budget by owner and region. So Eric, Will, and Dave have their own budget, and that is divided over the regions. Very interesting, very nice to have this visualized for a project management office, obviously. And now instead of having the region in the legend, we can have them in the small multiples, and just have a look what happens. Do you see what happened? Instead of having one chart with all the regions for a person, we now have the 4 regions provided or divided over 4 unique graphs. And this is very responsive. You can see that the visual grows compared to how big of a real estate I have. And instead of regions, we can also say, okay, well, not the regions should be the dividing value, but for instance, the owner could also be the dividing value. And now we have Dave, Eric, and Will being the 3 different charts here. But I tend to like the regions here because it looks nicer, I think. Now, one of the things that immediately pops up is that it has one color. It is not that you can tweak each graph individually and give it a different value on colors. That might come in the future, but as this still is a preview, you might want to hold on to that thought a bit later. There is basically 2 sections in the formatting that you can use. So let's have a look at that. So we have the small multiples tile, and we have the grid layout. So the small multiples tile has a font family, size, color, and alignment. As you can see here, it changes to left, middle, and right. You can change the size of these. This is typically, well, this is typical for any visual and very familiar. Then you have the position of that chart title on top or on the bottom. And the other addition is the grid layout. The grid layout currently is a 2x2, and you can extend that to a 6x6 grid. Normally, so as I already mentioned, normally it's a 2x2, but you can, for instance, say, okay, well, I want to have 4 rows and just 1 column. And then you will see that it has 4 rows and 1 column. Or you can say, well, okay, how would that look if I have 4 rows and 2 columns? Right, doesn't really make sense that much, but yeah, you have those options, and you can add it to up till 6 columns and 6 rows. So very nice little visualization there. And as I mentioned, those color coding is, well, it's default. It looks at the legend. So if you want to have the legend also being region, there's actually an error message that you will get. So currently, if you had that region in the legend, it had a color for each region. But if you move that to the small multiples, it loses that color. If you now want to include that region again, there's actually an error message popping up. And you can see the details here. Repeated indices found in the group by or projections. Well, that's probably because there's a multiple time. Well, so that's the current error message that you're getting. Maybe that will turn up in the future. I'm not particularly sure what is going to happen apart from what is already mentioned in the blog article here. There is a lot that they want to do, and there's a lot that's coming in the near future, or in the future before it turns GA. you might want to have a look at this article for yourself. Obviously, I'm going to put that into the show notes, as well as the acquisition of Broad Horizon and the Project for the Web December update. As mentioned previously, I'm going to have this as a separate video. The December update has 3 key components. They're not all implemented on my tenant yet, so I don't have any reference cases to share with you. Once that pops up, I'll obviously have a new feature release video for you. Now, small multiples up. Before we continue, here is what it does with a line chart as well. It's also a nice thing to see here, where you see the different regions with the different sizes of increased costs. So small multiples isn't a new concept. I'm currently working my way through R as a statistical programming language, and I was surprised to listen in on an amazing video where the mentor actually mentioned small multiples at roughly the exact same time as I'm working on this video and creating this. So let's see what R creates for us and what I can simulate using the small multiples features in Power BI. In the training course, I'm working with the Iris dataset, which is available for everyone, and it works as a nice introduction into statistics. Roughly 150 records of plant species is being used. Well, I'm digressing. So I have the Iris table here, and it has petal lengths, petal widths, as well as sepal length and width, and the species of the different plants. So very interesting for any plant. Very interesting for any plant scientist, I would say. For us, here is the Iris dataset, and on the right side is what R creates, and here is a bit of a background of that R coding that I did to actually generate this. The small multiples was very easily created by including, and let me just double check, this 3 here, I think it is. Somewhere I just needed to add a 3, and that will create these 3 charts instead of one chart that has everything in it. And here you see the same values now created in Power BI. So we're very close to what R can do and what the R statistics can do, and what we have in Power BI now. So this is the combined chart as it would be normally presented to us. And now if I pull that to small multiples, you'll see that it has the same data, only in the different values here. So I'm very happy. This looks amazing, and yeah, Power BI is an awesome and continuously improving reporting tool, and as such an ideal platform for me to make videos on. I've created a feature release playlist and a exploring Power BI visuals playlist as well. Don't forget to subscribe and like this video if it helped you out, and I'll talk to you soon.